All right, we're here today doing our sighting in of our primary arms ACSS reticle 1 to 6 scope here. So what we're going to be doing today is the term I'm going to be borrowing from archery is walk back tuning. So basically what's going on there is we start close. This is usually how sighting in works best. Going to take a step back for a moment. Even with laser bore sighting, everything's not going to be perfect. That basically should be able to get you on paper at the distance you bore sighted it at. I laser bore sight at about 20 yards. So you know you should be right around paper at that range. So I've got a couple I've got 4 targets at about 25 yards, and I'll start there. These targets are actually specifically set up for closer sighting in. So sighting in, I'm aiming here at the red and green, but my bullets should be impacting here. So that is effectively going to give me, well, this one's for 50-yard zero. Basic same idea. I've got the 100-yard zero out there. So we're aiming for the color, and then our bullets should be impacting in the gray. So that allows us to be able to see better while we're sighting in. And then once it looks like I'm sighted in, I will be going out to 100 yards and confirming that zero. So essentially what we're doing with walk back tuning is basic geometry. So if we're off by 1 degree at 25 yards, that could only be a matter of inches, but it's a triangle, okay? So if I'm off by 1 degree, as we go further and further away, that's gonna be a bigger miss, basically. So as we walk back, or in archery, we're walking away from the target, maybe even starting at 5 yards, we're getting a smaller, we're tuning to a smaller margin of error. So, okay, we got a good grouping at 5 yards, and then we walk back, oh, that grouping opened up, or I see I'm now hitting right or left, and adjust from there. So that's basically what we're doing. To me, it's the easiest, most effective way to tune or to sight in, both archery and rifles, and with the least rounds wasted and quickest to get on target. So we're just shooting the 2.23 or 5.56 out of the AR competition rifle. I've got it set up on a Harris bipod just for accuracy, bench rest. So without further ado, we'll turn on our reticle and we'll put on our ears and we'll get started. The other thing we always want to do is make sure that our power is maximum. Okay, so we set our power to maximum no matter what the distance is when we're sighting in. All right, can be sometimes tricky to see where we're impacting without walking down there. Especially with the 2.23, we got such small holes. So we'll have to, I actually got to walk down there and check out and see where we hit. All right, I was way high. Well, by way high, several inches high. So my windage was pretty much dead nuts on. So when I'm sighting in, I typically like to do windage first. Windage, like I said, windage is dead nuts on right now, pretty much. I might just need a couple clicks in. So why I do windage first is because, well, it's easier. Once you get left to right, all you gotta do is adjust up and down. And sometimes, like again, you might get your windage dead on and just a little high, but that might actually be the zero you want. So like right now, it's too high though. It's actually off the paper. So I got to bring this down several clicks. So on your scope, it's usually going to have an indicator of what direction to go up or down. And so this is 1/2 inch at 100 yards. So it's going to be more like a 1/8 of an inch at 25 yards. So I've got to move this, and that's per click. So I'm just gonna give this a good crank and see where that gets us. Also, I like to do 3-shot groups. Some people like to do more. I think within 3 shots, you should be able to see what's going on. That's my personal opinion. Some people like 5 or more. I like 3-shot groups for sighting in. Take it or leave it, depends on what you like. I have earplugs in, so if you saw my earmuffs on my head. All right, I'm getting there. I can see that my windage currently, I'll post pictures of the targets at the end, but I can see my windage is a little right, and I'm still a couple inches high from where I want to be. So still just gonna go down, a mess of clicks. Now again, you might be able to see on here, right, I'm turning counterclockwise. I actually have to move left, so I'm gonna go clockwise. And I was only a little bit off, so I'm just gonna give it a few clicks there. Put a few more rounds in each magazine. So here we go again, 3 more rounds. All right, so I can see from here, I'm now a little to left. My elevation is getting closer, so I'm just gonna bring it in. I gotta move back right. I'm just gonna give it 1 click, and I still gotta go down another inch or 2. So I'm getting closer and closer here. Get our sight picture. I'm actually going to move to a different target now, so I can really make sure I see what's going on. Again, I got 4 targets down there. All right, so I'm almost there. I'm just gonna get it to the final point, and then we will look at the targets close up and talk a little bit more about the math back at the shop. So like I said, I'm almost there. Just got a few more rounds and I'll be there for sure. All right, so we are set. I just want to show you real quick. For those of you who don't live in the north, today's date is March 18th, day after St. Patrick's Day. We still got snow up here. It's still just above freezing, but hey, I love it. So let's review. Up here, this was my first group off the paper, okay? I was able to tell just because you can tell when holes are fresh, and I obviously know my caliber. And you can see that if I just go down, the windage was almost dead on. Here is that next 3-shot group. Remember, we're trying to get them, I'm aiming here, and we're trying to get down here. Next 3-shot group, you see how much I brought that down? Then I moved over to this target on the left. This was my next 3-shot group, followed by the next, and then the last one. 2 in the same hole. You can see that that's just a little bit bigger. I'd say that's sighted in. 100 yard 0. What do you think? Law of averages. What I'm probably gonna do is just take one more group or a couple more groups at this clean target, and then I'm gonna move all the way back out to 100 yards. And we'll go from there. So again, we'll talk about it a little bit more in the shop. All right, let's look at these targets again. So I have blue tape there because I decided I should probably cover up the logo of my day job, maybe, and I'm refilming this. So I noticed that real quick. So we already looked at our targets up close in the previous clip. Mind you, this is actually like a week and a half later, just based off of time that I'm going over this now. So looking at our 100 yard targets, this first one, you can see the grouping to the side there. I actually think most of that is user error because when I adjusted the windage to come back over, I went too far the opposite way. and then made some more adjustments and really took my time, and you'll see that final group right in the center there. So there were several 100-yard walks to really get this in there, but the results are there. So this middle circle is approximately 3 inches in diameter. For my purposes, this is awesome. Every single shot of this final group is within that 3-inch circle. The smallest targets I've so far encountered, at least at our local matches, are 3 inches in diameter at 100 yards. So every single one of those shots was in that 3-inch diameter circle there. So in 3-gun at where we have our local competitions, due to space limitations and safety, all we can do, the furthest shots we can have is 100 yards, and those are the smallest targets we have. So we usually use smaller targets to make that distance more challenging. So for my purposes, it is dialed in. Could I get it even a little bit tighter? Probably, and then we're going to have to start looking at ammo even closer. A lot of things the details are going to get a lot smaller. So looking at the geometry of things really quick, I had already drawn this out for the previous take here. So the angle at the top, that's just easier to see. So the bottom line, okay, that's your actual, let's pretend that's your actual shot. And then the other line coming off that angle there is what your scope is telling you. So as we can see, I drew a smaller one right here. The smaller the margin of error at a closer distance, okay, where I have that slash right there, you're not going to notice that at 25 yards. But if we go out to 100 yards, let's keep going, that distance gets bigger and bigger as that angle continues out. So you can see how that works, the basic geometry of it. Again, this is, excuse me, my favorite way of sighting in anything, any projectile device, from bows and arrows, pistols, shotguns, rifles, starting close and walking your way back, either physically yourself or moving those targets further away, making that margin of error smaller and smaller till you get that point of aim, point of impact to be the same point. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them below. Comments, questions, concerns, the usual. Contact directly, email. That's all. So thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.